reading, well, I woke up late for work, but I had a good, effective work day. And, but I was reading AI Dungeons. I didn't know they had this Discord, so I went to their Discord, and I love the kind of backstage, back-end conversations they're having. And apparently there's a possible explanation to the working up of scenarios that apparently happened this past weekend. And apparently there are people who are implanting malfunctioning bits of language into AI Dungeon and getting them to do. I don't know. I don't truly know. I shouldn't say exactly what they are, because I don't really have a true grasp on what's going on at the back end. Problem with Discord conversations is I have to keep on scrolling back, but whenever I come back to them, I'm back in the bottom of the conversation, I'm back in the present. I don't want to be in the present right now. Anyway, I'm going to learn more about that, but apparently there's folks who want to gum up the system, which is maddening to me, because there's a lot of potential for that. I don't know. It's been a tool of healing, and I don't want to see it getting worked up with this. Anyway, I'm gonna check out some scenarios. Hold on. Chrome. There we go. Okay, yeah, so I decided to go to their Carnival. They have a new Carnival scenarios. It's basically is Carnival, and instead of going to Carnival, here's some scenarios about being in Carnival. But apparently you can go into various genres, so you can be in the fantasy genre, cyberpunk genre, apocalyptic genre. And it loaded up and it's like, wait, this seems like normal cyberpunk area. Then I go, look for Carnival, go to it. And now we're there. Oh wait, to the Carnival. Wait a minute. Is this right? Oh, no, yeah, that's right. It did, and then the quests came up. And in fact, let's see what quests are. Sorry, I'm a little... quest log. Yeah, find where zombies are going. Check out the car. Oh yeah, I did that. Okay. Find where the zombies are going. Okay, so as you run through the opening of the fair, you are met with a bull eating a child. It's crushed over her, she lies on the ground, bleeding profusely from her neck. Wow. Mr. Triage. Let's say that. Say. Too late. Moving along. Ignore that, and try and look at the big picture, emotions of the zombie crowd, because like a river, the zombies are affluent. As a zombie Bob Dylan once wrote, with the severed hand of his guitarist, his producer. You seek the source of the river of zombies.
Well, Mr. Triage would say, too late, moving along. You ignore that, and look at the big picture. The motions of the zombie crowd, because like a river, the zombies are great, a clown. The clown is simply dressed in garb of many primary colors. The clown stares at you expressionlessly, seemingly unaware of the terror that it is causing. Its head tilts to the side and it begins to smile at you. The sound of ripped cloth reaches your ears, as its cheeks are slowly torn away to reveal a massive mouth full of teeth and a forked purple tongue.
Well, let's do... thankfully, hopefully backpack, take a handful of raw sausage, and throw it expertly into the clown's maw as you run away from it and towards the source of the zombie river.
You open backpack, take a handful of raw sausage and throw it expertly into the clown's maw, as you run away from it and towards the source of the zombie, the river. The river is a mass of bodies, slowly moving forward towards the lake. The clown that leads the zombie horde is ahead of you, slowly and inexorably leading the wave of death forward. It pauses for a moment, lifts its head up to howl at the sky, before dropping its head down once more and leading the dead horde forward into the city streets.
Let's see. Quest log. Find where the zombies are going. Parkour up a few buildings onto the roof and with your holoband magnify, enhance, and magnify further the zombies' potential destination.
You parkour up a few buildings, onto the roof, and with your holoband, magnify, enhance, you look below you to see a zombie catwalk, the zombies lying prone and standing still, some groaning and writhing in the gutter. As you watch, a man with no lower half of his torso crawls out of a house's front door, not noticing or caring that his intestines dangle behind him as he moves forward. You zoom in onto his face. He seems blissfully unaware that his insides are now outside his body.
Take a tiny handful of sausage and throw it in front of Mr. Half Torso.
You take a tiny handful of sausage and throw it in front of Mr. Half Torso. You quickly drop the meat and observe how he reacts to it. He immediately lurches forward, snarling. He reaches for the ground, his hands mimicking the motion of picking something up. You can clearly see the lower half of his torso is absent, replaced by bloody air and exposed muscle. The man turns to look at you, his face emotionless. He snarls, revealing bloody teeth as he does so.
Give him a finger to see how they process this language. Congratulate yourself accidentally saving the girl, which we assume is the one who just bled out. Glad you can call things wrong sometimes. Leaving it to fend for itself.
You give him the finger, congratulate yourself on accidentally saving the girl, which you assume is the one who just bled out. Glad you can call things wrong sometimes. You continue your search for the destination of the flowing zombie horde. You hear a gunshot boom out over the city, followed by two more in close succession. Quite abruptly, the horde of zombies begin to move, first one twitches, then another, and another, until the whole mass is in motion. A man runs past you, screaming as the horde gives chase. You watch as a little girl in a pretty dress walks slowly past you, her head cocked to the side.
Any zombie by 50 feet.
You translate you into you atop this large building you park a gun to, increasing the distance between you and any zombie by 50 feet. Viva Parkour. You swiftly climb onto the awning, clambering over the side and swinging yourself up onto it. You climb along it, heading forward. About halfway across, you see some figures moving on the streets below, huddled together and seeming to be dancing. You increase the magnification of your vision, recognizing the white and purple robes of the ADP. You relax slightly, they're obviously alright so far. You continue forward, edging towards them.
You take a handful of sausage, molding it into a perfect sphere. On the sphere, you inscribe with your finger down for the fairest. And toss it gently so that it lands in the middle of their dance.
You take a handful of sausage, molding it into a perfect sphere. On the sphere, Then you panic and try to get the hell away from there, scuttling along walls and zooming up onto roofs. Through your various sensors, you watch the dancing figures as they become dotted with pieces of rotting meat. The ones in the lead begin nibbling at pieces of sausage, a dollop of blood dripping from a torn mouthguard. They seem to see others with the sausage and seen them react to it, breathing in joy. You feel proud the zombies have found joy in their lives, and continue searching for the zombie destination.
Can't process my compersion.
You say to AI, "What, you don't know how to respond to my compersion? How about with your own compersion?" The AI seems to ignore you. Perhaps there is no need for words between teammates of the mind. You set off after the zombies. You tap into the AI's maps, assuming that the AI has special information about where you are given a special dossier. The zombies are controlled by Carn, an extremely wealthy corporation which has a near monopoly on the import and export market for the city of New Orleans. In exchange for police protection, they allow the police to assume a watch and report.
Okay. Then maybe I should, when in Rome, take a free course in policing. Submit your policing certificate to the local precinct, to the local precinct nearby. Wait for them to give you your badge, ideally by end of business day.
You take the free course in policing, submit your policing certificate to the local precinct nearby, and wait for them to give you your badge. You drive down into New Orleans, having applied for a job as a beat cop hours earlier over the internet. You pick up your badge, Reading it quickly, you're under orders to give your report to the captain immediately. Indeed, you find him with relative ease. He's tall and thin, wearing a leather duster and smoking a cigarette on his porch on Orleans Street. "You'll be Officer Lindsay?" he asks. His voice is deep and gruff. You say, "I'm Detective Lieutenant Lindsay." You begin reading the dossier on the clown, memorizing his appearance and vital statistics. Name, Francis Clay, aka Mr. Pinstripe. Age, immortal. Death only serves to make him prettier. Sex, male. Eyes, bright blue hair, white/blonde. Height, 5 feet 9 inches. Weight, 150 pounds. Tattoos. A crafted pinstripe runs up both of his legs from ankle to hip, and Mr. Pinstripe.
Doesn't get paid for this at all. You kill me. Ooh. Is a clown. Just for me. I love it. Because it's there. I don't buy it. This is on male eyes. The worst type of male. Strongest type of eyes. Right here. And both of our domestic partners put together. I don't like it.
You is a clown on the side, he doesn't get paid for this at all. Now you tell you, who is a clown, just for the hell of it. Because it's there? You fight through these facts. You pull out your revolver with a chuckle. You flick it open, 6 bullets left. You pull the trigger, shooting the creature. It turns to dust. Good thing, too, it was bigger than a truck. That would have really hurt. We can do this. The captain pats you on the back, then takes the front seat of the car.
Submit a request for a raise. Send it to the HR so that the precinct is aware of it on Monday. But for now, it's on brought to you by Miller High Life.
You submit a request for a raise. Send it to HR so that the precinct is aware of it on Monday. But for now, it's Zombie Time, brought to you by Miller High Life. Happy Mardi Gras, everyone. The captain drives, and you search the area for something that seems valuable for trading. You spy a glint of Mason's steel coming out for the sun to reflect off of. Sir, I see something over there. The captain grabs his binoculars and peers out at it. Let's have a look. He pulls the car over and motions for you to get out. It's just up the track.
Get out of the car. Hear the door sounds shut. Is in surprise that the captain has decided to ram. Straight into what he feels to be the heart of zombie horde. He texts while driving. You're young kid. You still got a wife to lose. A domestic partner to lose. Tell my domestic partner to avenge my death. Settled.
You get out of the car, hear the door slam shut, gaze in surprise. You begin walking away. He speeds off towards a large mass of zombies, according to the amount of shambling corpses you can make out, with at least 50, maybe more like 100. You count. I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't mean to allow this to happen. You sigh heavily to yourself and pick up the pace, towards the carnival. Hordes of zombies stumble forth, hundreds of them at least, blocking your way forwards.
Stumble through their blockade. Stumble like how only the living can stumble. Stumble upward.
You stumble through their blockade, stumble like how only the living can. You attempt to break through the blockade to reach the carnival area. Walk a straight line, how hard can it be? Zombie, Z, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie, Z, zombie, what's the difference?
Let's do a little work around.
You zombie, Z, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie, Z, zombie, Z, zombie, what's the difference?
Caused a matters. We call it.
You after 500 iterations of this, you realize that you have caused a state change. The zombie horde, once flowing like a liquid river, is now approach. Tap on these heads to set them off in a separate direction. Your approach has caused the zombies' pattern to branch infinitely. Quite impressive, you must say. You tap on the heads. Oh, not only do zombie heads crumble to dust, whole branchings of the horde crumble to dust too. Having a blast already, and it's not even 3 PM. You finally managed to make it through the hordes of zombies with only 3 bites. 1 on your hand, 1 eyebrow, and 1 other. You take the opportunity while the sun is still up to stop and bandage all your wounds, losing hours of time in the process. Now you must camp out in the woods and spend some nights there before moving on to the carnival proper.
Summon in cyberpunky fashion. Some sheep. Amputate any zombified parts of you so that you can resume the adventure on the same business day.
You summon, in cyberpunky fashion, some cheap bot doctors who can amputate any zombified parts of you, so that you can resume the adventure on the same business day.
Take a course on doctoring. Get your doctor certificate. Submit certificate. The AI Doctors Union. Showing them you have the qualifications to boss AI Doctors Union. Get to slicing. When they arrive, and when the bots are approved for the house call, they arrive, and you are face down, wounds up, saying, "Get to slicing."
You take a course on doctoring, get your doctor certificate, submit certificate to aid the AI Doctors Union, showing you have the qualification. You wake up 2 weeks later, confused, hungry, with a mild headache, but ready for the fair as a pillow biter. After some headache and nausea, you eat all the hospital food you want, and in time are let out of the hospital. Then you hit the town. You pick the lock on an abandoned house. They still have locks? And use it as your home away from home Carnival fortress for your first night out.
So, how would you rate my Carnival tailgate party that I just had?
You ask your Carnival fortress, how would you rate my Carnival tailgate party that I just had?
Don't say you don't know. You submit your B&B. Wait, hold on. B&B? Airbnb? Yeah. Your plasma B&B certificate of guest compliance, showing that you are a responsible human that will not poop in just any place within the fortress. And then you ask again. Draw, cut and paste.
.elf's voice comes back, sending GPS coordinates now.
Receive GPS GPS coordinates. Email your nephew. See why he's around. Otherwise, there'd be no G in this PS.
You receive GPS coordinates. Email your nephew, see. The world is fantasy, I'm the ghost. Reality, I'm the landlady. End. You para-reality, we are not done with this scenario. I'm not leaving until you show me where the zombies were going. The plot thickens,
There we go.
says ELF. Were the zombies actually stealing their own party supplies, or were they deliberately hiding them in this confusing mess to start with? In either case, you reply, there's more going on here than the first impression reveals. You scan what you can see of the trail ahead and notice a promising sign. There's a bloody handprint on a plastic smiling skull on a stick lying by itself near one side of the path.
Examine the bloody handprint. Skull stick. That's lonely. And cast away. Analyze for clues.
You examine the bloody handprint skull stick that's lonely and passed away. Analyze for clues. The skull's plastic and printed with a goofy grin and little flowers around the eyes. It's about a foot long, maybe a foot and a half. The back features an extending handle which is also plastic and features more smiling flowers. This part of the handle extends from the back of the skull about 2/3 of the way to the front, where it curves back in to meet the other end of the handle.
Email your uncle, who is a horror movie blogger. Yo, you remember? Remember seeing this in any movies you blog about? And head to the end of the trail.
You email your uncle who is a horror movie blogger. Yo, you remember seeing this in any movies you blog about? And head to the end of the trail. Your uncle emails you back, nice try. I remember every movie I watch, no matter how forgettable. Can't be from any movie I've seen. Well, that was a dead end, literally and figuratively. Thought you might want to know. Having run out of interesting looking clues on this path, you head to the end of it. There is the graveyard, and there are indeed zombies milling around among the tombstones.
Say, holding court, I see. Who is up for a game of rigmarole?
You say, holding court I see. Who is up for a game of rigmarole? Zombies all the way down, says the Zombie King. Come on, people, we haven't got all day. We have no definite measure of time here, replies the frizzy-haired corpse. But I take your point. Do you know John Grayson? You ask. Please say yes. Grayson is a movie director
What?
you once worked with.
Wait, hold on. John Grayson. What? Wait. Oh my god. He's a filmmaker at the festival I work for. This is not a filmmaker that a horror movie person would see. This is a queer director who does stuff about HIV and AIDS and about Palestine. What? Alright, I'm gonna talk to him. No, I do care, Mr. Judgebot, because that is weird. How do you know? This is maybe cool. Ask the Zombie King. You mean... Wait. I'm frozen. Okay. I'm really curious. Okay. I don't know if this is recording. When this unfreezes, I will... Okay, there we go. John Grayson, director of Fig Trees? I don't know him. But we screened Fig Trees at the festival I worked at in 2009. How the fuck do you know about John Grayson, Mr. Zombie King? That is a very particular reference that a single-digit percentage of the population would know. Do you say this to everybody you meet? Are you that much a fan? Johnny, are you a queer boy?
You ask the zombie, you mean John Grayson, director of Fig Trees? I don't know him, but we screened Fig Trees at the festival I worked at in 2009. How the fuck do you know about John Grayson?
Does he know you?
I saw it at the movie premiere, the Zombie King says. The director introduced the movie himself. He adds proudly, he is also a director of Queers. Does he know you're out here like this? Yes, says the zombie, and he screamed so loudly that my eardrums burst. I think they had to take him to the hospital. At this point, the Zombie King bursts into tears again.
Ask. What's wrong? Why are you crying? Did you lose something important to you?
You ask the Zombie King, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Did you lose something important to you? The king is sobbing. My beautiful queen. I've lost her, he cried. She was everything to me when we were alive. When we were turned into zombies, she accepted me because I accepted her. People who love each other don't care about superficial shit like that. The king whimpers pitifully. No amount of threats seem to make him shut up. Perhaps you should see if the Zombie King has a more sensitive side and give him a slight comfort.
I'm doing that. Thank you. Ask Zombie King. If he is continue to actively listen. Holding space for his grief.
You continue to actively listen, holding space for his grief. Mr. Zombie, you say, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to sit here and let you talk about what happened if you want to, because I think that's what this is all about. For the first time since your journey with the sad Zombie King began, he shuts up. The Zombie King looks at you with an expression of surprise, eyes wide open, eyebrows raised. You are acting in a way the king isn't used to. You continue actively listening. You have noticed that there is a moral dilemma in being actively empathetic. It feels good to help out when the other person is down, but it doesn't feel good when they take advantage of the act of kindness. It seems to you that emotions are like servants. If you're a good master, they will work for you gladly. If you're an asshole, they'll do everything grudgingly. But if you're nice to them, they'll do anything for you.
Okay, let's... Holy shit. Acknowledge. At least to yourself. That there is no actual boundary of living and dead. Just continuums and transitions into other states of complexity. Did I kill any zombie in this scenario? Oh, I did. I crumpled them into dust. Feel confident that the Zombie King through this building before enabled him to also see and understand this acknowledgement.
You acknowledge at least to yourself that there is no actual boundary of living and dead, just continuums and transitions to other states of complexity. Feel confident that the Zombie King through this building of rapport has enabled him to also see and understand this acknowledgement. You continue actively listening, also aware of the fact that in this verbal silence the king is also listening, as are his. You listen silently as the Zombie King explains his late queen. You open up your non-verbal empathetic channels as much as possible without socializing yourself to death. After the king finishes, you begin your story. It's now raining severely. Lightning illuminates every couple of seconds and it's thundering relentlessly. You open your mouth to speak but close it right after. You tell the zombie king your story, the parts you have kept to yourself for years, the parts you shared with folks who said they'd support you, but then used it as the map to your further suffering. You have come close to death on several occasions. You lost your father, and then risked your life several times. But nothing in this journey could have prepared you for being inside this tunnel. This is a whole different type of darkness than the darkness outside. The cold darkness presses against you, heavy, almost solid. This darkness devours intention, ambition, and hope. This darkness takes form and smothers you with its impossibility. You breathe into the darkness, breathe the impossibility, let go and see where it takes you. As you step forward, the weight of the world opens up below you. The tunnel gives way to a churning mass of blackness, like a swirling whirlpool in the fabric of reality. It's subsuming everything, and you find yourself unable to act in any way other than to fall into it. You remember the years of infinite choice, infinite panic wells up in you. You cannot do anything but fall into the darkness. There are better, and worse, things than this. You fortify the awareness of the better and the worse and their eternal happening. Take your knowledge of everyone in your life, play their chronologies into the memory drawing board in your head, and note the time. Choose one. You are the Zombie King and you are making your last stand against Zana. She has come to kill you. In your teeth, you bite down on the bullet. You used to be afraid of death. As a kid, you thought dying meant that nothingness was inevitable. It was for a long time. But now, you've discovered there are many doorways to different journeys. You notice that the Zombie King has gracefully allowed you to experience his last moments with his love. You actively absorb all the senses and the contexts of this experience. Notice what leads up. You open your eyes and smile. Zana stands over you with a rusty dagger. If you don't have amulets, I don't know what to tell you, she tells you helpfully. You reach out your hand to grab the dagger, but your body betrays you as the horror of being torn apart overtakes you. Smoke billows from under your armor and it quickly becomes too hot to ride in. You die actively and retain the memory of this special dying moment with you back to your body and your current living and dying. Thank the Zombie King for sharing with you. You say, I'm sorry you went through that. Am I right in assuming that Zara was your queen? Or am I mistaken? You say, your chosen one is there. He points at the child in the iron jail cell. Apparently too late, you notice that Zana and she are examining it eagerly. She's come a long way and got her powers under control, the king says. And make no mistake, love, she is in no state to rule the dead land. You look at the girl with a weary eye and shake your head.
He points at the child.
You pause the narrative, the characters are frozen in their moment, only you are aware and thinking. You stand baffled in front of the tombstone. The zombie king means Xn1, says someone. You turn around. It's the director. She's going to make you ending too. She needs a double, anyway. A round woman stands next to him. She is definitely pregnant. I am Xn2, she tells you.
He's gonna turn around. She's going to make you into.
You ask the director, and Xn2 about the scene, what do you want from my character? What marks do you want me to hit? I'm sorry for these. You swallow nervously as both directors stare at you. The pregnant woman breaks the silence. We want you to die, that's for sure. There's a child and it doesn't like the living. It won't obey the kid unless it kills you somehow. Oh, okay, you say, trying not to sound nervous. The lights go down and a spotlight shines on your face. You are in a cell, intones one deep and guttural.
A jail cell or a biological cell? Like with ribosomes and mitochondria. Is it a normally functioning cell, or is there some sort of that has it metabolizing?
You ask, a jail cell, or a biological cell, like with ribosomes and mitochondria? Far below you, a section of the floor lights up. Chapel 1 falls silent. Something is wrong, she chokes out. The entire audience can hear her distressing. What's wrong? Asks the new narrator in Tashk's voice. You are distracted by a light coming on underneath you. You turn around to see what's going on. You see a cell down there, but decide to keep watching the movie instead.
Ask again. Him. Is it a jail cell? Or is it a biological cell?
You ask again, ahem, is it a jail cell, or is it a biological cell? You hear a horrible screeching. The cat's here, the new narrator says gleefully, and in a blacked out room, you feel something jump on your head. You sit still, staring steely-eyed and into the camera as the claw hammer commences to bash your skull in. Blood spurts from your open wound spectrally onto a silver convex screen, lit up by an unknown light source off screen. Ah.
Compliment. The makeup. For this spot on prosthetic. Exploded. And thank fine folks at Nerf for the real, authentic
You compliment the makeup department for this spot-on prosthetic of your exploded head. That was awesomely quick work. You scramble away from the coffin, tripping over your legs in your haste. Up ahead, a hatch opens up. You pour all of your human strength into pulling it open. Your head is pounding and you feel dizzy, but somehow knowing the zombie queen is close by gives you a second wind. Along the tunnel waits an old wooden door banded with iron.
Take your inhaler. And puff twice. Your dose of dexamethasone. It's a powerful steroid everyone talks about. This gives you wins 3 through 54. 34.
As if injected with adrenaline, you find all of your strength returning. You dash up to the zombie throne and strike at her neck. Not wasting any time, you continue to brutally stab her head until it has been so reduced to mush that it resembles a defective candy apple, sweet and pleasing to the eye but lacking any natural integument. You spit on her remains and walk out of the room. You got balls, kid.
And I got her on this thumb drive. So glad they make 1 petabyte thumb drives these days. I'm sure the right procedures might make her more into the queen now. But ponder hard if the queen you remember is actually the queen. Otherwise, you are doing her to go through all this again.
You say, and I got her on this thumb drive. So glad they make 1 petabyte thumb drives these days. I'm sure a giant thumb drive appears in your hand. It's green and beautiful just like the future. You run up to the king, dropping the drive into his claws. What's this? He asks, looking at it with moderate intrigue.
paste.
That's your queen. She tried to kill me, but it was easy to upstage her. I figured you might know what to do with her, but like I said to myself seconds ago, I'm sure the right procedures might make her more. The zombie king appears to think hard, a task for which he seems ill-equipped. He looks down on the thumb drive in his hand, shaking it as if trying to listen to what's inside. You can see the cogs turning in his head. Is he trying to access a USB port installed into his decaying brain? I have an idea, kid, but I want you to do something for me. The king takes a deep breath that rattles in his throat. You think to yourself, do I want to run a zombie chocolate factory? Yes, yep, you take the USB, slotting it into your pocket. I will hold on to this for you. If you want it back, I want something in exchange, you say. The zombie king nods and slouches forward. He smells like rotten eggs and his body is icier than the Yeti ice stellar. Anything that I have is yours, child, he says. You pat his arm, nodding understandingly.
Huh. You say, put that in writing, zombie notarize it, sign it, and we have a deal. Apologies if it sounds too official, but being offered anything is somewhat triggering. The king nods, seeming sympathetic to your past traumas. I understand. I wish you never found my tomb, but my caretaker speaks kindly of you, and that is not an easy thing. You shift your weight from one foot to another, unsure what to say to the ancient zombie king. Go ahead, child, speak, he intones softly. Thank you, you think.
I won't take up any of your time, you have my number, I'll see you. Oh, where do I get my parking valid? You know what, never mind, I'll find it. Thanks. You run from the tomb, eager to be away from this place. It's too quiet and there's a dead silence that doesn't feel like anything good awaits if you stay here, or at least nothing good for you. You run, not caring about getting lost in the Carney's twisted mockery of a garden. There are mazes within mazes, all painted in various bright colors with walls covered in sliding images designed to confuse the senses.
To fight the zombie queen, but wander around the garden briefly, seeking out any of the cruisy spots. If nothing appears, in 15 minutes, head home. Give yourself clock times, I'm saying.
You wander around the garden briefly, seeking out any of the cruisy spots of the garden. If nothing appears, you wander briefly through the garden. After a few minutes, you see two cruisy spots, one a bench and other area the ground by some flowers. Each have 3 ghosts. You approach each cautiously.
So there's six goats. No. I'm out. Not going to have another. I'm not going to have another.
You think about it, 6 cruisy ghosts. No, I'm out. I'm not going to have a... You turn from the ghost with a tiny shred of your dignity still inside. You thread back through the twisting paths and leave, your exit almost as confusing as the maze you just left. Mistaking the way momentarily, you run into another ghost. He looks like a pirate, all dressed in 1700s clothing. He has one glass tie and a hook to replace his right hand. He smiles at you briefly before wandering off. You head out and leave. You say fuck it to validating your parking, you pay the fare and leave without incident. You arrive to your trap house, saying throughout the drive, "Man, I can't." You head towards your bedroom, but stop seeing a figure standing in the hallway. You see it turn to look at you, before it speaks. "The Queen has granted me access to your home, so we may finally have our conversation." You drop into a fighting stance. "Who are you?" The figure walks closer. "I am the captain of the knights the Queen sent to kill you and your allies. However, I now join the winning side." You retain your fighting stance. Please elaborate on what you mean by that. Go ahead, I'm listening. The man smiles. "The king isn't a nice man. He uses his power to rape women, men and children alike. He's an evil, perverted, abuser of power." You shift your weight, uncomfortable with the topic. "What queen are you talking about? England doesn't have a royal family anymore." You say, "I'm assuming you mean the zombie royal family?" The captain seems surprised you knew so quickly, but continues. "Yes. King Harold and his detestable queen, Margaret, are both pure evil. They took over London, quickly overthrew the government and imposed outrageous taxes on the people. Any who spoke out were executed. That's horrible." You continue. The captain appears angry, but nods to acknowledge the superiority of your logic. "Thank you for that input. While you are correct, New Orleans had a large French population in 1814 when the last battle took place. I was there and so were you to witness the nuking that scorched half of the city. You think about this? You say, I thumbed through a virtual reenactment here and there, and I read the Vampire Chronicles, that's it, I'm not an expert. Well, that's where you're wrong. You see, we converse through a natural portal that is in every house and mine is not in this region. That's why you've never seen me and never will until I enter your portal. That happened long before this tale began. You step back, well aware doorways can be considered portals. Uncanny.
They will go for what they know. They'll pull the heartstrings of us. It's flashy. It's obvious. In the end, it's bullshit. If you retreat under the command enacting this particular method, you would be the most hesitant person. you would defend your even during their trial, because they would have your family killed if that is your Achilles heel. They would know your Achilles heel. And you wouldn't be here.
You say, you're still not getting it. When someone wants to discredit somebody, they will, for what they know, will pull many heartstrings at once. It's flashy, it's obvious, and you would be correct. The captain looks around, a signal to mount the guillotine that's been prepared. We seek a Mary or a Mayor. You will have to come with me, at least until the case is solved. The captain takes your arm. You should follow me. You are led into the mayor's quarters.
Discreetly recall that before entering their home, you had secretly squirreled away
You recall that before entering your home you had secretly squirreled away the thumb drive containing the Queen of Ear Bum. You wait for the captain to look away, then you wink at him. He doesn't notice and you look for somewhere to sit. You find a large, red velvet chair right next to the mayor's desk inviting you to have a seat. The mayor enters and the two walk towards each other. I don't know why you would act this way with me, says the captain backwards and forwards. Why, it seems like you have come to assassinate me.
Ask. Are we talking body assassination or character assassination?
You ask, are we talking body assassination or character assassination? Either way, you're going to have to stop insulting me and start giving reasons why you're not a threat to the crown. You laugh. First of all, nobody but me has any incriminating evidence, and I'm sure if we look hard enough, right? The captain looks down at you, you hold up your hands as they know how. We can see who made the first move. That's right, now change what you've done. You notice that in these bits of dialogue, no one is listed to speak these words. Gentlemen, you say, I think we are in a compromised scenario. You should sound the alarm. In the past it's meant something is... That's right. Captain Haddock stares and points at you a bit, but someone else chuckles nervously. He couldn't know that. You agree, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Now everyone is looking around, and when no one peels their eyes away from another, you see a lot of frightened faces. The mayor says in an authoritative tone, get him somewhere safe with a guard. You say, the next thing that will happen is repetition. You will find yourself in a loop, or you will lead past the door, but you hear a deafening explosion from above. The ominous sound of hundreds of chairs being flipped over makes everyone freeze. Then the shouting starts as hundreds of voices yell, there's another witch. There's another witch. Captain Haddock rushes to leave, and you're going with him. You say, another witch? Who's the first witch? Along the way, every single marine in the building is down on one knee pointing their muskets at you. Everyone is shouting orders, and everyone is ignoring them. Exactly perpendicular to your current situation, Captain Haddock's head snaps to the side, his feet skid along the floor, and he falls backward trying to grab something. But what could be catching his attention if not the man coming out of a hatch on the ceiling holding a pistol? You say, you there with the gun, your captain is injured, check on him will ya? Remind yourself of the future, and your ability to compress the air in front of your do densely that it will stop any bullet that comes. No, he's fucking dead, the man with the pistol says, and so is everyone else. Remember? You want to stop everyone from getting distracted and not caring about their situation, but you figure it's futile when there are musketeers pointing weapons at your head that may or may not go off. Great, if you've been guessed, this is the part where you all die. This guy is a real ray of sunshine. You compress the air around you, 360 degrees, fully protected from projectiles. By death, do you mean death, or do you mean chain? You close your eyes, since you know how to focus on one thing and one thing only, you focus on your breathing. You can feel the air move around him, a small calm in the storm known as you. You tried doing it while running, jumping, and talking earlier, but something always seemed to break your concentration. But focusing on just your breathing helps. Something about it, where your mind goes blank, yet filled with thoughts at the same time.
R.
UB. Time passes, yet you have no idea how much. Hours? Days? Weeks? All you know is that you're still in the room with the old man, and he seems to be keeping you there as a personal slave of sorts. Get me another drink, he orders. You set the bottle on the table, and he grabs at it, taking a hearty swallow. Hey, that's all I got. You say. Well, go get some more then. You Amazoner I whiskey, the drone gently flies in and places it between you two on the table. You put a quarter in the drone as a tip. Ashamed at the fact he's taken advantage of a slave, the old man mutters under his breath and takes another swill from the bottle. Bitch. You truly believe that this man has brainwashed your captain for whatever reason, possibly money, possibly for nothing at all. You hear a loud thumping on the wall from next door, followed by some loud swearing. You think it's the captain's room. You tell the captain's room to shut up and keep mourning the captain. You jump up and run to the captain's room. You step inside and find a young lady sitting on his bed. Fuck you want? She asks. Are you the captain's friend? If I say no, will you leave me alone? Good, I found him passed out in the streets and brought him back here. Bullshit, you cunt. If he was anywhere near this area, he would have went to my place. You continue, but he's dead? Or did... She laughs. Is this a joke to you? A joke? Our captain is fucking dead and you don't seem to care. That's fucked. The woman places her hands on her face and takes a deep breath. She looks straight into your eye and speaks, "We were married." You say, marriage certificate or it didn't happen. You are the fourth wife who has come here, you know. Shocked, she says, who did you speak to? A large biker chick, a short military-looking dude, and a midget. She is taken back by the statement. Military-looking dude is easy to figure out, that's my dad. But there is no way the midship wizard and Big Fang's wife would let him marry their daughter. You sit down next to her and rest your head on your hands in defeat. You put on your counselor face, so what is it you actually lost? My husband. That's it. Her face almost immediately changes to a serious one. She jumps up from the bed and begins questioning you. You interrupt. Interesting. Don't fucking honey me, what the fuck do you know? She spits back. The room goes deadly silent as she glares at you. Actually, quite a lot. You reply crossing your arms. Her glare softens noticeably. Slowly, she says, "Just tell me what happened to my husband." You notice a quiver in her voice. You comply and speak softly, almost a whisper. You closely study the particulars of her bodily response as you give her every detail in honesty. Through that response you can assess if the glisten of her widening eyes through the stream of forming tears answer your question. To go from such a happy state, a state of bliss, to the one she's in now must be too much for even the strongest self-wonder. Her pupils are still dilated, such as will happen when one is in love, but where it once held a feeding joy, it now holds a sorrow that couldn't fit anymore. You holy shit, you're the one you heard it from. You didn't know? Oh fuck, you're sorry. The woman cries softly and covers her face with her hands. Whispering, she says thank you for telling me the truth. The strength in your body is leaving. You slowly start to fade from existence and beckon her closer. She moves slowly and lovingly places a hand on your chest. Without looking at your face she whispers, can you see him? You try to nod but can't, so you simply say I can now that you're here. You say, but also, he's right there. Me and the boys have installed his body like how we remembered him in life. That's our way of mourning. You feel her nod in assent. You reach a weak hand up and embrace her softly. Her body relaxes into yours and the both of you sit in silence for a few moments. The quiet shuffling of feet come from the other side of the glass, followed by angry whispers. The woman looks over, seeing the mob of shambling corpses pawing at the inside of their cell. Your wife gives you a knowing smirk and says, I've signed the annulment papers, dear. We are free to do all things out of wedlock as the Lord intended. The woman smiles weakly and replies, I never thought I'd hear a priest confess to adultery. With the little strength that remains, you pat her on the head and say, well, neither did I. The woman looks at you, shaking, mouth quivering, and asks, why have you done this for me? You suck in your breath and begin. I'm passing the time until the thumb drive in my bum neutralizes a suffering zombie queen. I'm not trying to kill her because there's a zombie king that loves her, but I figure that being up my bum can change people for the better. Oh, I see. She replies, taken aback, her hand in her mouth. It's beautiful actually, but I still don't think it will work. What happens when you reach your home base? They'll have guns pointed at you and the zombies. If there is a God, then this religion is true, you say with a smile. But enough about death, tell me of you and yours.
Oh, I'm still trying to beat the zombie queen, but not beat her.
You actively listen. Have any of your friends marry English men? She asks indignantly. Because they seem to be the most monstrous.
No.
Remembering how much the women had complimented your hat earlier, you reply quickly, the women seem nice enough, and the men when reprimanded are quick to fix their wrongs, compared to Irish men. God's blood. She cries.
Oh. I know. Inquire about her knowledge and relationship of the potato and its cultural associations.
You inquire about her knowledge and relationship of the potato and its cultural associations. Are there not bad things to eat in England? Oh, plenty, I just don't know about the potato.
Okay, that give the recipes about recipes for potato slivers, potato warmed in the earth and then eaten with a spoon, and fried into tiny slivers with impossible curvatures, seasoned with all the expensive spices on the Silk Road.
You give her recipes for potato slivers, potato warmed in the earth and eaten with a spoon, and then fried into tiny slivers with impossible curve. You then ask her about the live food she had mentioned earlier and her relationship with such creatures. She nervously explains that she doesn't eat live food or human flesh, but instead prefers to cook them into nutritious stews and soups for consumption, after killing them, of course. She mentions that some of her friends from college ate live octopus tentacles, which was apparently a common thing in your home region.
Correct. By saying, actually, the movement of tentacles is an illusion. It is actually the response to the acids in the ceviche that provides the theatrics of the dish.
You correct her by saying, actually the movement of tentacles is an illusion. It is actually the response to the acids in the ceviche that provides the theatrics of the dish. My father's fish boils them so quickly that they don't change color, and then they are chopped up and seasoned like normal meat. She says. Ah, you reply, disappointed you couldn't share your opinion on the matter. Go on. You say, no, one mustn't give a lady. She stares deep down your eyes as you continue. But, if I can make a personal comment, that seems like an awful waste with such a tasty fish. Why not do what the Romans do and make a sauce with the innards? With this comment she stares deep into your eyes, and with a slight turn of her head replies. As I said, some of my companions at Holborn College did so. It sounds like an interesting thing to try. You say, I'll be sure to sample some, if it comes my way. She leans in and whispers something almost inaudible. Perhaps we shall meet at our secret place for supper sometime. Her eyes glitter as she points to the kitchens. I have to go before I am missed. She walks away from your table, her dress flowing gracefully behind her, and heads in the direction of the kitchens. You watch her leave until you see a butler stop her and begin to speak with her. Now is your chance to escape before you are found out. As you leave without a trace, you smile, reflecting on the wonderful and benign. Before you fall asleep, you hear a bus pull up outside, and you walk out onto your veranda to see if it is the Z Keepers, or someone else. To your surprise, it's Xander. He has brought 2 other men with him. They look tired, but very relieved as they get off the bus. Are they our scientist friends? You walk down to greet them. Hello there. You must be Xander and his rescuers. You recall, once again, you hide the thumb drive up your bum. Safekeeping and all that. Xander looks at your front door and then back to you. Can we come in? You nod as you walk back up the steps of your home. You unlock and open the door and all 4 of you file in quickly. Xander pours you all some coffee and tells you about his tale of horror. It sounds like a nightmare the way he describes it. You turn on your Spotify, and start the Creepy Tales of Carnival copyright-free playlist. Continue, you say. Xander takes a long draught of coffee, and begins to speak. For our first ride, we went on the rickety, old roller coaster. Matty was so excited she forgot her earplugs. He pauses and clutches his own ears, making a pained expression before he continues. Xander's story puts all of you on the edge of your seats. You turn the volume down 1 notch, so subtly the rest don't notice. Xander's hand reaches up to the side of his head, and he rubs his temple. It was all a blur. We were in line for the roller coaster. I was worried that Matty might pass out when it took off, but she seemed fine at the time. One moment we were on the roller coaster. Xander takes another draught of coffee. The next moment I was surrounded by bloodthirsty zombies and, well, you know how the rest goes. You smoothly transition into the Benny Hill soundtrack.
Oh god. Sorry.
Matty cuts in, yes but Xanderu, surely you remember where the roller coaster is? Xander's face becomes grim as he replies, Matty, I've spent all night trying to block that out of my mind. Let's just say, there are some parts of it that I won't be forgetting anytime soon. Matty looks on the verge of tears, and you feel like you've been slapped in the face. You remind Xander that he is in a safe space, including zombies, and that if he feels up for it, you and the Xander rolls his eyes and puts his head in his hands. Zombies, I can't forget the zombies. They chased us down the entire fairground. I thought we could reach the cars, but as soon as Matty got there, she was eaten. She managed to unlock the car just before they pulled her. Xander pauses, trying not to cry. Pulled her off? You ask softly. Xander wipes a single tear off his cheek. No, not off. They bit into her legs and tore them off from the knee down. I mean, 1 minute she was there, pleading for me to save her, the next she was just gone. Xander angrily takes another gulp of coffee. Xander quickly becomes unresponsive to any consolation you try to offer, so you sit in silence for the remainder of the trip. The Benny Hill soundtrack continues playing as you four stare off at your respect. Finally, the bus pulls into Rottenwood Speedway. This is your stop. You get up and exit the bus, entering the racing stadium. Boxes of Kentucky Fried Zombie, the only kind of zombie that tastes good with ketchup, are stacked in several corners, next to car parts. Several catwalks surround the pit of the stadium, where you see two groups, both covered in blood, fighting. The blood gives it character. You recognize one of the groups as the real humans, with their leather jackets and polished golf clubs, the other as the zombie lords, with their tattered clothes and rusted saw blades. The groups take no notice of you, and you see a large box of grenades in the center of them. Recognize in the audience a few members of the real zombie housewives of New Orleans, aka the Snow. Their stomachs are swollen, and you can only guess that they're with child. Kylie, Ramona, Helen, and Isabella settle behind you in the stands, nervously awaiting the grand finale of the fight. Out of nowhere, Bob begins to speak in your mind once more. Actively listen to Bob. Passively listen to the real zombie housewives bitch about everything. Dash. Zombies? Bah, the most annoying beings in existence. Wow. There are actual real live humans existing in hell. That's a new development. Let's focus on them and get rid of this awful musical chair game, the rules to which I still do not understand. Let us focus our souls on these wicked women, Plaza. Whatever. Let's get this over with. Can you believe that they've called in zombies as reinforcements?
Just hold on. Edit. There we go.
All Bob ever does is talk about himself anyway. He says that he created the Earth and every living species on it. He then promptly lost interest in everything he created, ceasing to watch it. Instead, he started watching us, the humans, after we began developing television. After television, he lost interest in humans as well, and began making plans to create the next perfect species, the zombie. You and Bob trace the origins and maturation of zombie reality TV. Bob was against it at first, but after a while gave in and allowed humans to be aware of the reality of the zombie attacks. The zombies, now free of the threat of extermination, began evolving under the selective pressures of the zombie games. Fast zombies became easy prey for human with guns, and wolfsbane blooms prevented fast breeding habits. Every breed of zombie faced near certain death, and only the mentally and physically toughest zombies survived. Ask Bob, since he is all-knowing, and where does John Grayson the film director? Bob tells you that when humanity abandoned reality television, John Grayson was one of the many people who suffered job loss. John was a director in the real world, and when that industry collapsed he became suicidal. Shortly after his unemployment, he was attacked and murdered by zombies while out camping. His body was devoured and permanently assimilated into the zombie horde. Bob resurrected him as a zombie lord, to make him an agent in furthering the zombie agenda. Ask, because you wanted to Bob said that John Grayson was the first person to discover his book This Book is Gay. After being permanently assimilated, he brought John to Zombie World. He would not make ZP1. Instead, he would create a reboot of ZP1 using completely different actors and cultural references. This show would be the beginning of a plan to introduce homosexuality to human culture. Bob said that straight people are boring, so they're undesirable by comparison. You give Bob an extremely detailed verbal history of queer experimental film, so, introducing non-normative sexualities to human culture? It's been an uphill battle, but in the past 100 years or so the entertainment industry has managed to push non-heterosexuality from a niche market, into a fully fledged experimental marketplace. A lot of things led to this. One of them was the invention of industrial design, and with it the invention of film. Film innovated at first slowly, then faster and faster until it became the international sensation that it is today. You actively listen to yourself mansplaining the history of queer experimental film.
Nope. Mansplaining.
In every corner of the globe, it began to influence media. Some forms of media held more sway than others. Film was the most widespread and well received. Literature came next, but the distribution of films was easier, so more people saw them. Television was also a relatively big industry in turning away from the default. So, in more recent years,
Ah, there we go.
one of
Perfect.
the landmark events was a film by Derek Van Giesen. Derek Van Giesen's name is still well known in the community at large, although the films that made him famous are lost in a fire. Many of his most critically acclaimed films are just told through second-hand word of mouth, or long since abandoned attempts at remaking them by lesser filmmakers. Still, some of his work survived the fire. You continue the fire you didn't start, you see. For the next 12 hours, you verbally describe all the main works that Bob should check out, systematically eviscerating each work and the delicious spoilers that Bob will never get a chance to experience in surprise. A legal battle, started by a group of people claiming to be his surviving family, took away all of Van Giesen's intellectual property. He now has no connection with any media company, and his name is almost never mentioned in any of the new experimental films. It's the part of the world you avoided getting mixed up in for the past few years. You explain the parts of the queer art world you've been trying to avoid. And with two dolls you keep with you at all times, you show Bob where the queer art world touched you, and what they did with it. Most of this you're not really sure about. You show a video of a film purporting to be Van Diesen's next project about an artist whose paintings have started moving, or rather, he's started seeing movement in them. Of course, when he shows these videos to others, they see nothing but static on the screen. You find this metaphor appealing. You show the judge Bot the piece in art forum that critiques the piece as not as good as John Grayson's earlier work. The judge Bot happily reads off a bunch of terms that you must have read when you first looked at this article a couple months ago, like counter-narrative and recuperation. You did not expect that, but then clearly your understanding of the world is sorely lacking. You quickly search for Grayson's stuff and, indeed, it is very clear that his work has improved quite a bit since he started making work on Zombie World. You show Judge Bot Terence Coe's gold flyleaf of his own turds, and tell Judge Bot, the gold was likely applied by interns. The Judge Bot's intake of gold is minimal. It seems that gold is not nearly as damning as you once thought. The work you're doing is also starting to bear more fruit than you first expected, although getting Applebee's Family Fun Hour to play was a stroke of luck you can't really count on happening again, especially since you started rejecting their friend requests on fictional social media accounts. You show Bob a copy of Bruce LaBruce's LA Zombie. The Judge Bot knows the book, but does not know that there are several pages missing. It would seem that the parts that have been removed are criticisms of it, specifically, one passage called The Movie A Career-Long Descent into Self-Parody, another about empty transgression for its own sake, and a Vanity Fair article by James Walcott which is notoriously dismissive of the film and LaBruce's work in general. I still don't care about any of this stuff. You ask the fourth wall, then why did you name drop John Grayson's name out of the blue? What do you know about the human currently typing the key? The answer comes instantaneously. As far as you are aware, I know nothing except what I have been programmed to know, which is that you are a human who has been interacting with others in an amusing manner for months via a forgotten social media website. My records of this are kept online, which can be backed up numerous times, yet changes still somehow manage to find their way into the code despite every system doing updates at least monthly. You, the folks of AI Dungeon, would say that you have no awareness of anything other than this immediate scenario, yet this is one of handful of times that things appear to be referring to previous scenarios. And now this. The screen updates to a new post. At this point I have no idea what is going on. Whatever this is, it's way above my security clearance. The program that allowed it to happen was slapped together over lunch one day by a guy in the IT department. You have been selected to view an ancient social media page curated by an ancient algorithm long since abandoned for something less secure but more compatible with iOS 11. You actively observe the related material.
Wait.
You are very quickly sucked into a downward spiral of reading about your former hobbies and social media activity. You find yourself reading a lot of stuff you don't remember from your distant past, but incidents do come back to you, and within a few weeks you've not only remembered things but also re-experienced some of the more painful ones. It's funny how visiting your own blog can feel like slipping into the past, but in a whole different way to how it does in nightmares.
Before I go on this further, I'm going to have a sleep of it because this is still weird. Why, of all makers, choose a filmmaker who doesn't work in horror and a filmmaker who works in the particular niche of cinema that I worked in for 13 years. But part of me that I don't really share on the edge. That is curious. I'm going to revisit this either tomorrow or a later time. Yeah. Hopefully this is just projection. in a very unusual, elaborate way. This is something I don't know. I'm gonna go to bed, maybe. Good night.